Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, on weekdays, of course, it's all about the Fast Five, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, we still keep it to 5 minutes, but we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, the sleeper story, which is one that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, the most remarkable story, and then our favourite story. So let's get into it. What was the biggest story of the week, Sean?
I think we both agree on this. It's the wild ride in markets at the moment, led by Wall Street. US inflation came in at 8.3% for the month of April. That's on an annualized rate. Markets went down, down, down. Simple as that. The local market fell below 7,000 points, its lowest level in more than 3 months. The tech companies are being hammered. Xero fell 11% in one day. It's about half what it was at the beginning of the year. REA for the year is down about 40%. WiseTech Global's down 36%. SEEK's down 29%. It's not just equities. The Aussie dollar has tumbled. It's fell as low as 68.5 US cents this week, and cryptos have been hammered. Not just the currencies themselves. Bitcoin certainly fell this week before bouncing a little bit, but the largest US cryptocurrency exchange, Coinbase, was also sold down, with its share price falling 23% in one day. Crazy, crazy week on markets.
Oh, I could not agree more. That is by far the biggest story of the week. Let's move on to most remarkable. I've got one for this one. I think the fact that one of the biggest players in the gig economy signed a deal with a union to regulate the gig economy is pretty remarkable, because you've got food delivery company DoorDash, which has operated here for the last few years. In the US, it's actually the biggest delivery platform in the country. But here in Australia, DoorDash and the Transport Workers Union signed a charter of principles this week. It's the first deal of its kind. It talks about the flexible nature of the work, but also agrees that an independent body is needed to set industry-wide standards. The reason why this is so remarkable is because they did it themselves. This wasn't the result of changed government policy. In fact, it actually puts pressure on the government to change the rules around the gig economy, things like kind of fair pay and conditions, overtime, all that kind of thing. Menulog kind of started a trial last year of direct employment for delivery workers, so it really feels like the gig economy might be gearing up for an overhaul.
Yeah, I think that is remarkable. Look, I'd put a special mention in for the sale of a silkscreen of Marilyn Monroe by Andy Warhol, sold at Christie's this week for a record $195 million US. You know the one, Marilyn with yellow hair. Everyone knows it. It's iconic. The price was the highest ever for a 20th century artwork to sell at auction, the highest price ever for an American artwork, and the second most expensive in history, behind Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, which was sold for $450 million US 5 or 6 years ago. Honourable mention for that one, but I agree, your story is quite remarkable.
All right. What do you reckon was the sleeper story of the week, Sean? This is the one that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit.
Well, the World Health Organization's warning that China's stringent zero COVID strategy is not sustainable given the highly contagious Omicron variant. China dances to its own beat, we know that. But the fact that the major World Health Organization, which China has begrudgingly supported, comes out and calls for changes might be the breaking point for Xi Jinping. He must do something about things. A big part of the problem for China is that their vaccines don't work particularly well. Also, vaccination rates are relatively low. Authorities have to shift, otherwise risk putting the world's second largest economy into a spiral downwards. But authorities face an unenviable dilemma. US and Chinese researchers this week warned that lifting all restrictions in China without boosting vaccination rates and access to treatments would trigger 1.5 million deaths in the next 6 months. Very, very tricky.
Yeah, it certainly is. The sleeper story for me this week, it was one that didn't get much attention here in Australia. It's about a multinational insurance company based in the UK called Aviva. It's led by Amanda Blanc, who joined the company as its first female CEO in 2020. This week, Aviva held its AGM, the first in person since the pandemic. How about these comments from investors at the AGM? One said that Ms. Blanc wasn't the man for the job. Another asked if she should be wearing trousers. Another one congratulated the board on its gender diversity, then said they are so good at basic housekeeping activities, I'm sure this will be reflected in the direction of the board in the future. This is at the AGM of a major insurer. The chair of the company slammed the comments, but afterwards, Amanda Blanc said this kind of behaviour has only gotten worse as she takes on more senior roles. I am just blown away by this story because it's a sleeper for me because it didn't get much attention in Australia, but it also highlights the extraordinary sexism that still exists in business at a global level, and the fact that this kind of offensive, this kind of just wrong, just plain stupid comment is still being made in 2022 says that we still have a very long way to go.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Tell me, Michael, what's your favourite story of the week?
Oh, look, I love this story. It is about technology. It's about an iconic product. It is Apple ending production of the iPod after 20 years and 450 million sales. This thing changed the way people listen to music, having suddenly 1,000 songs on shuffle. But it also changed the way the entire music industry worked. It essentially created the first legal model for digital music when piracy had been such a major problem. We've got the iPhone now, we've got music streaming, the iPod is kind of redundant. But the fact that it has achieved so much over the last 20 years and has been such a big earner and really propelled Apple forward makes it my favourite story of the week.
I'm with you on that. Great story, that one.
All right, there we go. I think we've just pretty much covered everything you need to know about business in 5 minutes. Thanks very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed.